Ladies and gentlemen, when you wear a Make America Great Again shirt or hat, or a Trump 2020 shirt or hat, Democrats and liberals look at you and say, you are standing for all the horrible values or actually lack of values and all the horrible sentiments, and you're helping promote the most vile and insidious emotions. You're trying to elevate the bad people of the world. Democrats project. When they're caught with their pants down, literally and figuratively, it's don't believe the accuser, believe Biden. When it's Kavanaugh, believe. When it's Biden, don't believe. When it's Clinton purchasing a dossier with help from Russian sources, it's, well, that's raw intelligence. If it's Trump, oh my God, how dare you. If it's cages and Trump, oh my God, but they were built under President Obama. So the Democrats are all over the place. They have no value system. When they see red, they're like, it's almost like a creature that sees nothing but vitriol and contempt. Or animals aren't like that, but it's almost like their minds are so warped with this miserable malice towards President Trump that they create their own reality. This stands for the first president to step foot in North Korea to begin détente between North and South Korea, where President Moon Jae-in stated that President Trump deserves the Nobel Peace Prize. South Korea, in my view, is America's strongest ally, the strongest democracy in Asia. In terms of geopolitics, not just because of North Korea, but because of China also. South Korea is our strongest ally in Asia. And in about 20 years, China will be the 25 years, maybe sooner, China will be the number one economy and perhaps also the number one military power in the world. So South Korea's importance to the United States will only grow exponentially. The fact that President Trump began détente between North and South Korea is a paradigm-changing moment in American history. We can also talk about Trump ending the longest-running military conflict in March in American history, and eventually bringing home Americans. Another mistake that Bush made, and Cheney and Rumsfeld and Clinton, who will be the Democratic Party nominee. Share my article in the Huffington Post. If you're on social media, I do not have Twitter, I do not have Facebook. Share the article. Hillary Clinton 2020 is a reality. Get ready for 8 years of Trump. I didn't just obsess over this for 4 years. I'm not only the only YouTube channel out of 33 million YouTube channels to tell you. So I'm the only person in all of YouTube to tell you that Clinton is going to be nominee and the whole thing has been a theatrical performance. But I wrote about it in 2017 in the Huffington Post when I was on the left. Subscribe to Bizarro World Goodman, my comedy channel that's below, and subscribe to H.A. Goodman's other channel. I have 3 channels. Subscribe to them if you want to support my work. Long term, my Patreon is below. John Ratcliffe in the pinned comment and description. But please, 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 I do not have a Twitter account or Facebook. Get that article viral. The link is below. Let's just read exactly why John Ratcliffe will be confirmed by the Senate. Richard Burr is the chair of the Senate Intelligence Committee. Just got caught with his pants down figuratively, pertaining to possible insider trading. And so he's more of an establishment Republican type. He confirmed, along with Schumer and others, he confirmed with other Republicans that Russia did try to interfere. It's been confirmed. The assessment and the viewpoint and the possible assessment has been confirmed. So they confirmed a hypothesis which has not been guaranteed by any intelligence agency. James Clapper eventually took a while, but will be replaced. Of course, there was Dan Coates. And now Richard Grenell is amazing. He should be somewhere in Trump's administration high up. Richard Grenell is the man. And so you're wearing this. You're going up against corrupt intelligence officials. To go ask John Durham about corrupt FBI agents who are now in prison right now because he put them in prison, or one person at least, John Connolly, because of what happened in Boston. So the Democrats revere these intelligence chiefs and operatives and agents. They don't also realize, you look at the history, they infiltrated civil rights organizations. They did a whole bunch of things that are against the law. We can go on forever. Woodward and Bernstein, they're celebrated. Why? Because they were tipped off and they were given a whole lot of information by a top FBI agent who had a fantastic nickname. But anyway, James Clapper is going to be replaced. So 5 minutes in, James Clapper, it took a while, but is eventually going to be replaced by John Ratcliffe. John Ratcliffe will be the Director of National Intelligence. The Director of National Intelligence synthesizes or summarizes or speaks with one voice pertaining to all the agencies, all 17 or all 3. So one of the false news stories that you heard all throughout the 2016 elections, the 17 agencies confirmed that Russia was really afraid of Hillary Clinton because they wanted 80% more of U.S. uranium capacity, not 20% that they got from a deal that only President Obama could have vetoed. Gee, I wonder why he didn't veto the deal. That's bizarre. And Robert Mueller was FBI director when there was a bribery and racketeering scandal. That's bizarre. But here, John Ratcliffe is a loyalist of President Trump. The good thing, in an ideal world, you wouldn't want just a loyalist. You would want somebody who just thinks of the country. The closest thing to that is somebody who would defend and support President Trump, because President Trump doesn't have an affinity for the intelligence community anyway. Why would he? Even before these agencies were created, Pearl Harbor was an intelligence failure. The Bay of Pigs was an intelligence failure. Gulf of Tonkin was an intelligence failure. You had intelligence failures all throughout the 70s. There was an intelligence failure pertaining to the fall of the Berlin Wall. They never predicted that. Intelligence failures all throughout President Obama's administration. With the NATO intervention and the Arab Spring, they didn't predict any of the consequences there, but also Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld predicated their miserably failed foreign policy on intelligence failures. And what preceded that, which I can't talk about on YouTube, was one of the biggest intelligence failures of all time. Why should you revere people? This is like giving a drunk driver the keys to your new car every single year. Every single year. And so we get to the core mission of the ODNI is to lead the IC intelligence integration. So John Ratcliffe, the confirmation is tomorrow. And he will eventually, in a week or so, or 2 weeks, there's the confirmation hearings. They're going to ask him, are you going to be loyal to Trump? What about Russian interference? So, and then no Democrat's going to vote for him, and 53 Republicans will, and they have, 3 or 4 more senators than Democrats. He will be the new Director of National Intelligence and head the Office of Director of National Intelligence, and each one, Haspel, all of the intelligence chiefs are going to have to give their viewpoint or intelligence or information to him, and then he will decide, like James Clapper did with intelligence reports. So the intelligence reports from the ODNI, it's in the description of each one of my segments. They are highly to moderately confident. They were always just highly to moderately confident. That's it. They're highly to moderately confident that Russia tried to hack the DNC. They're highly to moderately confident that any of these things took place. They're not certain. They indicted Russian intelligence officials based on the work of a company one in the indictments that was paid by the the Democrats. But here, this is one of my, I quote the ODNI in one of my Federalist articles. Judgments are not intended to imply we have proof that shows something to be a fact. Assessments are based on collected information, which is often incomplete or fragmentary. High confidence generally indicates that judgments are based on the high quality information from multiple sources. High confidence in a judgment does not imply that the assessment is a fact or a certainty. Such judgments might be wrong. So now you have John Ratcliffe instead of James Clapper, who will not set up and frame a Democrat, who will not set up and frame Trump, and who will not give information to Mother Jones and all the wonderful liberal publications with really idealistic, wonderful journalists who were lackeys and tools and hacks and simply mouthpieces for people who have political agendas. The intelligence agencies have political agendas. Okay, that's why President Obama commuted the sentence of Chelsea Manning, who should never have been. These people should have been protected under whistleblower laws. They commuted the sentence of Chelsea Manning while at the same time going after Assange, it was commuted. While at the same time going after Julian Assange, who should be free. And the primary reason is because he published the truth about the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party, and like people like Peter Strzok, you look at the text messages. We'll stop Trump. Trump needs to lose 1 million to 0. All of this nonsense. You have not only bias. You have the IG, the Inspector General says, well, based on the evidence that I have, the investigations into Trump into Trump Russia were legitimate. He doesn't have all the evidence. Want to know why? Because James Clapper didn't give him all the evidence, and John Durham is now just uncovering. We just recently uncovered the 17 inaccuracies and falsified statements. We just recently uncovered the 302 notes about, we need to get Flynn to lie or get him fired. What is that? When Trey Gowdy and people say, it was just tough policing. For what crime? They were trying to find out something that never happened. This was the only investigation in world history where something never happened, but they still investigated. And they investigated based on the assessment of James Clapper and the ODNI, and now Trump has control, finally 12 minutes into it. John Ratcliffe gives Trump control of the United States intelligence agencies and community because he has the one person who will synthesize and summarize and, just summarize all the intelligence or speak with one voice for all of these agencies that are all politicized anyway. And you better believe if, for example, John Ratcliffe, and I don't think he will, and I wouldn't, if John Ratcliffe in a year or so said there's a dossier purchased by Trump or a dossier purchased by Eric Trump that says that Clinton worked with China, I would say, look, it's a dossier person. She did a lot worse, but she probably didn't do that. If they used a dossier, and one of my wonderful subscribers liked this phrase in the comment section of my prior segment, they didn't utilize a dossier to set up Trump purchased by Clinton to elevate Biden into the White House. This thing is a charade. I will have made the biggest political call of all time, people. The biggest political call of all time. And it's just going to be, I am literally the only channel in all of YouTube, 33 million channels, to tell you exactly what's taking place and what will take place in the Democratic primary. Hillary Clinton is going to be nominee. I don't know what's going to happen to elevate her finally, but the whole thing is set up and rigged. They are now talking in the New York Times about a plan B. Now, I've been telling you this. They're now talking in the Hill about how, either President Obama and Clinton or somebody, Clinton needs to, is waiting. John Ratcliffe is going to give President Trump a much greater foothold into the sprawling intelligence apparatus that Democrats have utilized. You have pretty much the last piece of the puzzle, and perhaps the most important piece of the puzzle. Okay? They cannot set up and frame Trump anymore unless Hillary Clinton wins the presidency. Clinton, I give her a 30% chance. Do not underestimate Hillary Clinton. She could become president of the United States. The only way to prevent that is to vote. That's the only way. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your family. Vote Trump. Another reason to wear a Make America Great Again shirt or whatever to support President Trump is that you don't want intelligence officials aligning with administrations to go after their political opponents, which is exactly what they did against Trump. Notice they did not impeach President Trump on obstruction of justice pertaining to the Mueller probe because they were bluffing, they were lying. There was no obstruction of justice. How could there be? There wasn't even a crime committed. And so the evidence was all procured by Democrats. And everything, they talk about context. And William D. Campbell is on record. This is the informant the FBI used pertaining to Uranium One lobbyists and Russian lobbyists. Said, yeah, you know what? They were all bragging about their influence over the Clinton Foundation and President Obama's administration. Oh, the Democrats said, well, you know what? That's just their word. They have you have nothing backing that claim. Isn't that interesting? Whether it's allegations from Tara Reid and then they don't believe those allegations, but they believe allegations against Biden or against Kavanaugh or Trump, whether it's the fact that Biden is the only person with a criminal complaint filed by D.C. police that has an active investigation with a Larry King live call-in with records that he won't release. I mean, this is using the standard by which Democrats judge people. He's guilty as sin, Biden. Plus, he's sniffing and massaging and touching everyone that moves. I mean, do you think that they are convinced? What you see pertaining to Biden is what all Democrats see. They know what's going on. So the whole thing's a charade. You think Michael Bloomberg spent $1.2 billion for Biden? Michael Bloomberg in 3.5 months spent $1.2 billion. Fine, it's like toilet paper to him. But you know what? It's still a lot of money, even for a guy who has $50 billion or whatever. Still a lot of money. But he's not doing it for Biden. He's doing it for Clinton. John Ratcliffe makes it very difficult, very, very difficult for Democrats to pull any of their usual nonsense. Any of their usual nonsense pertaining to President Trump or trying to frame or set him up. So this is really important. Give me your thoughts below. He'll get confirmed, and that'll pretty much give control of the intelligence community until we find out what happens with the election. I'll tell you President Trump's going to win. It could be very close, though. And don't think that Clinton can't win. I give her a 30% chance of winning. So President Trump, 70 to 75%, Clinton, 20 to 25%, but 100% the H.A. Goodman prophecy is that Hillary Clinton's going to be nominee. That's why I please ask you, if you're on Twitter, on Facebook, share that Huffington Post article that I wrote when I was on the left. I was published, well over 100 times in the Huffington Post. Almost the ones that went viral, I had a great many that the editors gave the stamp of approval on. So about 80 or 90 or so articles that the editors there gave their stamp of approval on. And The Hill, the Salon, The Federalist, The Daily Caller. So give me your thoughts. I was published in all those places. Give me your thoughts below. Subscribe to H.A. Goodman's other channel. Subscribe to Bizarro World Goodman. I'll have a funny segment with the wig and the hat and everything this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, this is an important segment. Share it, because John Ratcliffe, if you look at the ODNI mission statement that I was reading before I got sidetracked, of course, the core mission of the ODNI is to lead the IC in intelligence integration. Intelligence integration means synchronizing collection, analysis, and counterintelligence so that they are fused, effectively operating as one team. Our vision is a nation made more secure by fully integrated, agile, resilient, and innovative intelligence community that exemplifies America's values. Oh, yes, and James Clapper did a great thing. America's values, setting up and framing incoming presidents because you're so afraid or you're so angry that the Russians hacked the DNC to inform the country of the DNC's corruption. Here we go. That's not American values right there. In fact, the intelligence agencies are not. The founding fathers would, even though they engaged in espionage, they would not have wanted such influential, powerful intelligence agencies that just run as operatives, political operatives for political parties. Okay, so you always hear this. Well, George Washington. It's true. They engaged in intelligence and espionage also, but they didn't have intelligence chiefs that could lie under oath like Clapper and Brennan and get away with it back then. That's the difference. But anyway, give me your thoughts below. Bizarro World Goodman, subscribe to it. H.A. Goodman's other channel, subscribe to it. The links are below in the description and the pinned comment. My Patreon is below. Just look down in the description and the pinned comment if you want to support my voice, which would be greatly appreciated. And share my Huffington Post article, people. Clinton 2020 is a reality. Get ready for 8 years of Trump. That basically tells you the title, the headline alone, the title alone tells you exactly what's taking place 4 years or 3 years, I should say, before it happened. Give me your thoughts. Thank you.